welcome ladies and gentlemen back to another Rimworld Odyssey adventure. As a quick reminder, we landed in a lava-filled biome at the end of last episode while escaping the mechanoids. We're not planning on being here for too long though, as we really just want to get Ratchet to join us so we can begin crafting some vac suits. We plan on moving on to the ancient mercenaries lair that we discovered last episode, and to be honest, I'm pretty excited for this one, you guys. I think we're finally getting into the thick of it now. But firstly, we have to do some mining. This time we're not doing some strip mining just for the sake of it. I actually wanted to collect the sandstone we mined to begin using it for some bricks. We would tack a little wooden room onto the side of the grav ship here to begin cutting up all the sandstone blocks. But then, all of a sudden, a nearby volcano began erupting, sending massive chunks of lava falling from the sky. We definitely won't be staying here too long, as with something like this going on, one of these chunks of lava could just as easily have hit the ship, and if that had happened, it's basically game over for us. On the bright side though, the threat of insanely hot liquid rocks falling on our head has certainly invigorated us. We feel more alive than ever. And with that passion, we'll get the stonecutters table down and begin working on all the bricks that we could ever need. Now for some context though, I'm sure you're a little confused as to why we need these stone bricks. Well, right next to us is this larger ruin, and while we're here for the next few days, I plan on turning this into a temporary throne room for Ulysses, so he can receive his rank from the Empire. We'd get started on the construction the next day, using any parts of the old structure that we could in our design. Remember, this doesn't have to be anything fancy, it just needs to be nice enough that a bestowing ceremony can take place inside. But while we wait for that to be put together, we can see that Ulysses has finally swayed Ratchet to joining us. She's a fantastic addition to the team with great combat skills and more importantly a double passion in crafting, which will only be boosted by her 2 smart trait. We'd prepared the machining table in anticipation for her joining, which allowed her to get straight into work on the first vac suit that we need crafted. This will also take some time, so we're just going to leave her be for now, as we've finished off the temporary throne room for Ulysses. Yes, this has all happened over like 7 or 8 in-game days. This stop has been quite quiet outside of the couple of insulting sprees and subsequent fights, which is why some of the pawns are so damaged. Herman would put the most important piece of the throne room in, that being a jade meditation throne. And with a few torches set down inside the throne room, we would call the Empire in, arriving in one of their fancy shuttles. I think they're a little bit confused about where the ceremony is supposed to be held. That's our ship, not the throne room. Ah well, I guess it doesn't really matter where the bestowing ceremony is held. Ulysses would talk to our new friend Nosne here. It is a little annoying that we went to all of the effort, just to use the dirty interior of our ship instead. But regardless, it turns out the ceremony was very honourable, gaining Ulysses more honour with the Empire, the novice rank, and to sweeten the deal, a level 2 Psylink in his brain. This will have some implications going forward, but I'm going to wait quite a while to tell you guys about this. With the ceremony over and the Empire having departed, there's nothing really left for us here to do. We would bring the meditation throne on board and begin packing up the area for our next grav jump. The vac suit crafting can wait a little bit longer, as well as this nice rice soup that Ulysses is in the process of making. It's time for us to jump to a nearby ancient garrison and shoot some more ancient mercenaries. Touching down, we could see the large facility that's housing the ancient soldiers. It looks fortified despite some of the debris on the outside. I suspect we're going to need surgical precision with this one. And I think I have a bright idea of how to get inside. That's right, I took a few of the ancient mining charges from the chem fuel refinery in episode 2, and I know I said we were going to be surgical just a second ago. Well, I didn't go to medical school, and nor did Ulysses, so I guess this is surgical? Light this puppy up, Captain. A massive hole has been made in the wall, and it looks like we've hit the central corridor of this complex. Jenkins and Herman would of course begin laying down fire as our enemies flounder in shock, quickly taking the first of them out as the others began to return fire. Ulysses would get hit, deciding that instead of standing outside, he'd move into the building, getting a better position, allowing him to charge at their leader when he's reloading his weapon. With a couple smacks of the Zeus hammer, he'd go down, one remaining. She was mighty unprepared, attempting to attack us with a log. Needless to say, she would fall quickly too. And as the others go back to the ship to recover, Ulysses and Jenkins would move in, giving their leader a second or two to say some final words, as is the honourable way. We would end her life here though. The same place she had slept for so long would be her final resting place. As our captain undertook his duties, Jenkins would begin checking a couple of the other rooms. It looks like our job here isn't done just yet. This room is full of cryo-sleep caskets which will need to be properly investigated. For now though, let's check out our new custom LMG. This one being called Love of Grift, which is engraved with an abstract rendered growth, bordered by 3 thatches. That was a bit of a mouthful. More interestingly, this one fires EMP rounds and has a rapid fire attachment. The mechanoids are surely shaking in their boots at the thought of this bad boy. We would spend a day or two resting and recuperating, healing our injuries inside the grav ship. While doing so, I realized Jenkins could gain an expertise in shooting since he's hit level 15. This is all thanks to the fantastic Vanilla Skills Expanded mod. I decided that I would go with sharpshooting for him as it improves his accuracy, which is really helpful when shooting, and you can see he now has the sharpshooting expertise. We'll continue to level this up and hopefully it makes him even more overpowered. Not long after getting this upgrade for Jenkins, I would realize Herman could also pick up an expertise. He has a really good intellectual as he's been chipping away at our research in the background. I would go for hacking for him as he's been hacking many different terminals and ancient doors throughout the series so far, and I expect there's going to be more coming up, especially as we keep checking out these ancient structures. Once everybody was healed, we would return to the ancient complex to complete our investigation. We were already in position to begin fighting them, so bullets were flying the moment they came out. One of them threw down an energy shield, so we would have Ratchet and Hamilton move up so we could all fire on the soldiers that Ulysses was fighting. These guys never stood a chance. This was great to see how easy this was for us. We're really getting pretty strong as a team. Ulysses and Jenkins would move on to one of the other rooms, running into another hunter trap, getting themselves blown up and angering a Wolverine which we had to blast. Thankfully the others found some decent loot, opening a lot of these ancient crates. They only had some shells, which was a little underwhelming, but certainly better than nothing. We can at least sell these for a good profit, if nothing else. There wasn't much else in the rest of the complex outside of some decent weapons. There were these ancient terminals that I was intrigued by, so I had Herman hack them. It seems all they do is unlock the security doors throughout the building. This is still good practice for Herman though. While I was gathering up the crops we had planted here before setting off, a mech cluster dropped in nearby with a smoke spewer, which will cloud the area if it's allowed to continue. And while we're on the topic of the mech cluster, Ratchet, due to her genetic pessimism, has a lot of mental breaks, and at one point nearly triggered the mech's proximity detector due to her psychotic wandering. And with that close call, I think it goes without saying that the minute that Ratchet recovered, we decided to leave this place. No mechs for me today, we're off to the frozen Terraformer in search of another grav core and some more grav light panels. Whoa, this thing is huge. Somewhere within this icy mountain lies the grav core and the malfunctioning ancient terraformer that may well be powered by the grav core for all we know. While we do the usual, get the farm sorted out, make sure we have food, yada yada yada, Hamilton would get stuck into mining into the icy mountain with the hopes that he would dig into the Terraformer. When we stopped hitting ice and started hitting limestone, we felt like we were probably getting close. Before long, we would hit a fortified wall, which we will need to find some sort of way to break through. In the meantime though, we've got a couple things to do around the ship. Firstly, Hamilton has been having lots of mental breaks due to intense pain in his left eye caused by the scarring from a bullet wound, so we would have Jenkins remove his left eye. This will lower his sight, but it's worth it to save him the pain that he's constantly in. Ratchet is also hard at work crafting some more vac suits. The first ones that she makes won't be great quality, but with some time, she'll certainly improve. I would also have Jenkins begin shooting at the ancient structure in an effort to weaken the wall. I think this upset the Mech Hive a little, as they sent down a psychic droner ship and a bunch of mechanoids that I didn't really want to fight out in the open like this. To get a move on with entering this complex so we can leave and not face the mechanoids, we would mine out a small opening near the entrance where our weakened wall is, so when we breach it we can shoot at anything inside. And of course, I found a door in while doing this. Lining up, we would breach this wall, finding only a large deposit of chem fuel and a hunter drone, which our brave Captain Ulysses offered to shoot at for us, managing to detonate it well before it got to him. For a moment, I want to talk less as a storyteller and just as a normal Rimworld player. I could have sworn these unstable fuel nodes almost always exploded previously, which is why I had Ulysses shoot it. In hindsight, this probably wasn't necessary as they seem not to explode quite as much since Odyssey. Not quite sure why though. Anyway, moving in, we would focus fire on the left-hand door, opening up another room. We would shoot at the ice wall to try to gain some further visibility, but we managed to hit the explosives behind it. Unsure if the room was yet safe, despite the large explosion, Ulysses would creep up, spotting another hunter. He would swiftly escape from it as it detonated. In this next room, we would take out another couple of ice walls, revealing a sealed crate, containing yet another interesting map. Hopefully this one leads to some more interesting loot or treasure. That we'll have to wait for now though, as we're continuing to make our way through these ruins, finding what appears to be a large set of central corridors. With, you guessed it, just another hunter drone. I can't seem to escape these little pains. As most of the others would head back to the ship for some well-deserved rest, Jenkins would continue his search, blasting one of the sentry drones and finding the grav-light panels that we were looking for. I think another ship upgrade is in order as soon as we find this terraformer. Ulysses would face off with another sentry while guarding Jenkins' exit, which they would put cracks and bullets in, disabling it once it entered their room. I should mention here that the psychic ship was beginning to ramp up its output, which explains exactly why I did what I'm about to do, as it was causing a lot of mental breaks for the pawns. Yeah, I may have gotten Rena killed. In my defense, I rarely play with mechanoids, so I wasn't sure if they would wake up here. I will remember for next time though, so this doesn't happen again. Anyway, with the mechanoids released, we were thankful that there were some Imperials in the area looking for a tribute. They would greatly assist us in our defense against the mechanoids. If I had known that we could get their help sooner, I probably would have just shot the mechs from a distance, rather than putting our friend Rena in so much danger. Anyway, before long, all the mechs were taken care of. And speaking of our poor sweet Rena, we never got the chance to recruit you. We were afraid that you wouldn't be compatible with our way of life, and my foolishness got you killed, but your sacrifice lives on. We can't have a funeral for her because she isn't part of our ideology, but everybody would still stop work for a little time to grieve. And as you can see, Ulysses was actually friends with her, so she will certainly be missed, by him at least. But with some time, our work would go on. No use letting Rena die in vain, we can't bring her back, and mourning won't stop the mechanoids' assault on our planet. So it's back to locating the frozen terraformer, which is exactly what Hamilton and Ratchet would do. They would meet up with Ulysses and the others, reporting their findings to him. He's pleased with our progress, but decided to complete a sweep of the entire facility before taking out the malfunctioning machine. It was a quick look around. We mainly just destroyed a couple of turrets and found some useful chem fuel, which we'll take with us when we leave. And now, onto the main event. After psyching the team up, Ulysses would burst into the room, starting by firing at the hunter drone, which began to follow, but exploded as the others began shooting. Everyone would flood the room, alerting the wasp drones and defensive turret. I'm sure whoever initially put his traps here when this place was first built would be glad to know that we had destroyed them for the purposes of stopping the Terraformer from freezing all this land. And stop the Terraformer Ulysses will. With some mighty smacks of his Zeus hammer, he would disintegrate the machine, revealing its grav core center. Just another step towards our goal. I am sure there are still more grav cores to locate out there in the world, which we will find and use in our mission to stop the mechanoid armada. But for now, with our daily dose of action out the way, we will get to work on the largest expansion to our grav ship that we've done thus far. Building a massive platform on the backside of the ship, all within the range of the grav engine itself. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with the new grav core that we picked up today. I know that there's a way that we can use them for power production, if we've completed the right research, that is. That may be a way down the track though, so this one might end up going towards another grav field extender. I skipped forward quite a bit here in the construction to where the entire back end is basically completed. We've just been working on these hydroponics basins that we're getting installed, so we can begin to grow some food even while we're in orbit. And to go through some of the newly added rooms, we have the new fridge up the top here. Hopefully in the editing I am showing some labels for these. Adjacent to the fridge is the kitchen for easy access, obviously, and Jenkins is our chef, has his room right next to the kitchen as well. The large main area of the expansion in the middle is used for storage, power production, and the hydroponics basins, as I've already mentioned. Down the bottom we have a designated crafting room, which will be filled out a little better soon enough. This will be where Ratchet can tinker to her heart's content and hopefully build us some pretty cool sets of armor and weapons. And lastly we have Hamilton's new room, which will get a little loud during takeoffs for him and Jenkins. But I assure you they're still airtight, as I think it's still a solid wall at the back of the engines. But with that, I am going to leave it here for today. I believe in the next episode we will finally be back to space for some more intriguing adventures. Hope you've all enjoyed this one. Apologies for not showing more of the ship's construction. I find it a little difficult to design at the best of times, and I tend to change my mind a fair bit while building. So sorry if the time lapses are a little bit annoying and awkward. There's not much I can do about it. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye for now.